So I told you that when I got my audio equipment working, that I would go back and do a proper review of Halloween. And it might have taken me a little longer than I thought, but I finally got it fixed. So here I go. Halloween. Now, first of all, I'm sick and tired of all these goddamn remakes out there. But at the same time, I'm always curious to see what they'll do different. And that being said, I have to admit that this new Halloween, I don't hate it, simply because they did try something different. However, that's where a lot of the problems come in. Now, in the first Halloween, we don't get a whole lot of information. All we know is that Michael Myers lost his mind when he was a kid, killed his sister, and years later broke out of the nut house. He finds a mask and he kills a bunch of teenagers, except for fine-ass Jimmy Lee Curtis. Now, by the way, speaking of that mask, and you tell me if this is true, I heard that mask that he wears in the original was a William Shatner mask, like an unpainted William Shatner mask. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's not too hard for me to believe because William Shatner is starting to look like that fucking mask these days. But anyway, now, in that old version, Michael Myers, for all we know, he could have been a spoiled suburban brat who didn't get his ass whooped enough. Whatever the case may be, that lack of information made his character more disturbing. We don't need to know all that about him. Now, in this new version of Halloween, we get all this backstory that indicates why he became a killer. And what is the backstory? It ain't shit. We come to find out that his dad yelled at him, his mom was a stripper, and his sister slapped him around a little bit. Now, if that's all it takes to make you a killer, then I should be fucking Hitler. Because I was the youngest in my family. I got slapped around by everybody. Shit, even the family dog took a few jabs at me. In other words, in some horror movies, the least you know, the better. Filling in those areas with your own imagination sometimes makes things more disturbing than what you actually see. And besides, that kid who plays young Michael Myers, he's just way too pretty for me. He looks like a little girl. Makes me think that under that mask that Michael Myers grew up to be Jude Law or something. Now, other problems that I had with the movie is that it's just a little bit too gratuitous with both its sex and violence. Sure, the body count is higher and we get to see some more tits. And you know how I like breasts. I ain't got no problem with that. But so what? I thought that the intent of this movie was to be creepy and not some cheap Friday the 13th knockoff. It's just more exploitive than it is scary. Now, on the good side, I think Rob Zombie, whose last name apparently really is Zombie these days, is a good director. And on certain levels, he has succeeded in making a pretty fair 70s style grindhouse movie. I also think that Michael Myers looks pretty badass in this version. He's played by Tyler Mane, who was Sabretooth in the original X-Men movie. And he is fucking huge, which made me believe that it would take something like a bazooka to bring down Michael Myers' big ass. And Malcolm McDowell, he seemed to be having a lot of fun playing Dr. Loomis in this movie. And that was who in the original was played by Big Head Donald Pleasance. Oh, and Sherry Moon Zombie, Rob Zombie real life wife, gives a really good performance as young Michael Myers' mom. And I hate to be shallow, but that girl's got a pretty good ass on her too. So overall, I'll break it down like this. If you're a blood and tits person and you want nothing else, well, that's kind of shallow, but it would be good enough for a matinee. However, if you want a little more suspense, then I'd say stick with the rental or go watch the original. As for me, I had a little bit of fun, but overall I thought this remake was pointless. I like to see Rob Zombie do something original because I do think he's a good director. Now, I want to point out some mistakes that characters make in horror movies that they repeat in this version of Halloween. Number one, if you have a gun, aim for the head. Apparently these psychos in these movies are like zombies and they cannot be stopped by anything else. Number two, if you've taken the killer down, run or drive away as soon as possible and as far as possible. Don't stop to talk about some stupid philosophical shit. You will get killed. And three, if you're black, get the hell out as soon as possible. You know the average black person dies in these horror movies. And I don't care how big, black, and bad you are, don't fight the killer. You will get your ass kicked and then get killed. So, I hope this helps in case you ever find yourself in a horror movie scenario. Later. Which ain't too hard to believe, being that William Shatner is starting to look like that fucking mask these days. Who plays young Michael Myers' mom?